Today I will be starting a new series, What If Goku Wasn't Invincible? If you end up enjoying the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. As of right now, I have many ideas written down. If you guys have any suggestions, write them down in the comments and maybe in the future I can make them. Now, onto the story. In this story, I will not be taking the canon Dragon Ball Super Goku and throwing him in the world of Invincible. Instead, we begin the divergence from Dragon Ball's original timeline when Bardock and Gine say their final goodbyes. In the pod carrying their infant son blasts off into space towards Earth, something goes wrong. A rift in space and time opens. Whether caused by cosmic interference or a fluctuation in the timeline itself is unclear, and swallows the pod. Yes, we're going with the classic portal time rift route. Instead of arriving in the Dragon Ball version of Earth, the pod crash lands in a different universe entirely. This Earth is far more grounded in realism, and the superhero world is far more brutal and unforgiving. The pod crash lands a few months after the birth of Mark Grayson, right in the backyard of the Grayson's residence. Nolan hears the crash first. Alert and cautious, he rushes outside, followed closely by Akira's Debbie. The backyard is scorched from the impact, and in their center lies a spherical pod, hissing, steaming, and clearly alien in nature. It opens slowly, revealing a young child dressed in Saiyan battle armor. No older than an infant, his black spiky hair and brown tail are the most distinctive features. Debbie, although startled, is immediately sympathetic. A baby from space has landed in their backyard, and to her, this is not just a strange event, it was a sign. Nolan, on the other hand, is confused. In all his centuries of life across countless systems, he has never seen a child like this before. Debbie picks up the baby. The moment is oddly tender. Despite her confusion, she only sees a child in need. She urges Nolan to keep the boy, to adopt him, and raise him alongside Mark. After a moment of hesitation, Nolan agrees. It's just a child after all. What harm can it do? And so, the same child is taken in and raised by the Graysons. 3 years have passed. The boy grows rapidly. His strength and durability become increasingly apparent. While Mark is still just learning to talk, the alien child is already running, jumping, and much to no surprise, showing combat instincts far beyond what he'd expect. Debbie names him, but the boy eventually speaks his true name, Kakarot. Kakarot has retained his sane instincts, having never suffered from the head injury that altered his nature in the original timeline. He is aggressive, proud, and obsessed with fighting, but not evil. More than anything, he wants to test himself, to grow, to fight worthy opponents. Despite his rough nature, Debbie's nurturing and Nolan's training mold Kakarot into a unique individual. He was relentless in battle, but caring towards those he considers family. As he enters adolescence, Kakarot begins to stand out. While Mark struggles with school and waits for his powers to awaken, Kakarot is already flying, already sparring with Nolan in private, and pushing the boundaries of what the young boy should be capable of. Nolan is impressed, but also cautious. He can sense the untapped power inside Kakarot. The boy was even able to utilize energy in ways Nolan has never seen before. By imitating what he sees on TV, Kakarot involuntarily discovers that he can use his ki to create balls of energy. And that's when the questions begin to rise. Where did this child truly come from? What is the origin of his species? And most importantly, is he a threat? During a night sparring session with the 5-year-old Kakarot, Nolan begins to notice something strange. The boy's movements become more aggressive, and there's a wild, uncontrolled energy behind his strikes. Then, without warning, Kakarot's eyes begin to turn red. His muscles expand, and his expression twists into something purely primal. Before Nolan can react, the boy's body contorts, his mouth extends, and his thick hair begins sprouting all over him. The transformation is violent and fast. Recognizing the danger, Nolan wastes no time. In the blink of an eye, he scoops up the transforming child and soars away from the Grayson's residence, ensuring the safety of his wife and son. They land in a remote, deserted area miles from civilization. When Nolan looks again, the boy is gone, replaced by a towering, monstrous ape. It's not just large, it's massive, brimming with unrestrained power and radiating pure destruction. Kakarot had no sense of self, no control. What now stood before Nolan was the beast driven by instinct and rage, seemingly with one objective: destroy everything in sight. Cecil learned of the situation quickly. The Graysons taking in an alien child wasn't a secret to him, but until now, the child had shown no signs of being a threat. This sudden shift changed everything. They didn't know what the boy truly was or what he was capable of becoming. Back on the battlefield, Nolan struggles to contain the beast. The creature's power was overwhelming, even for him. Each of Kakarot's attacks is laced with raw strength, forcing Nolan on the defensive. It wasn't just that the boy was strong, it was that he had absolutely no restraint, no technique, and care for who or what he was hitting. Nolan begins to realize something terrifying. This child could already rival him physically. The Guardians of the Globe soon arrive, responding to an emergency level threat. They descend on the scene and attempt to support Omni-Man. Nolan quickly informs them of what they were truly up against, that the creature was not some alien monster but a child he was raising, a child who had up until now been a part of their family. The Guardians are confused, but this wasn't just another threat, it was a living, breathing, and out of control child. Despite the hesitation, survival takes precedence. They attack. Kakarot responds with unchecked fury. The immortal is swatted away like a ragdoll. Warwoman suffers the same fate, her mace doing little to phase the creature. Red Rush attempts to disorient him with his rapid strikes, but Kakarot's skin is too dense. His punches do nothing. Darkwing tries to deploy high-tech traps, flashbangs, and distraction gadgets, but none have any lasting impact. Green Ghost and Martian Man did what they can, phasing and shifting. They too were outmatched. Kakarot stomps down on the immortal with bone-crushing force, nearly ending his life. The battlefield is chaos, dust, roars, blast, and panic. Nolan watches, calculating. He thinks back to what may have caused this to happen. When Kakarot turned 5, they would spar more in the night. But this night was different. It was a full moon. Something had triggered a transformation, and possibly it had something to do with that. Nolan thinks of ways he could stop the rampage, and there was one thing that he can think of: the tail. It had been an odd feature since they had found him. It twitched during moments of emotion, it curled when he was happy, stiffened when he was angry. Now it was bristling, pulsing with energy, almost like it was the anchor for the monstrous change. Nolan makes a snap decision. Launching forward, dodging a sweeping arm that could flatten a building, he grabs the tail with both hands. It thrashes. The beast howls. Nolan digs in and, with one final effort, rips it from Kakarot's body. The effect is immediate. Kakarot's body begins to shrink. The fur vanishes and a monstrous form dissipates. In seconds, the giant ape is gone. In its place, lying unconscious in a small crater, is the 5-year-old boy. He's breathing but barely. Exhausted, spent, the rampage was over. The Guardians stand in stunned silence. Some are injured, others barely conscious, but the threat was neutralized. And yet, what remained wasn't comfort, it was fear. Fear of the child, fear of the potential, fear of what might come next. Nolan carries the unconscious Kakarot back home, his mind heavy with thoughts. He had taken this child in, raised him, trained him, and now he knew there were forces at work inside Kakarot that even he couldn't predict or fully understand. This wasn't just another alien. This wasn't just another child. This was something else entirely. By the time Mark turns 17 and his powers begin to awaken, Kakarot is already leagues ahead. He spars with Nolan regularly and has developed his own style of fighting, blending aggression with brutality. The dynamics within the Grayson household evolve over time. Mark looks up to Kakarot as an older brother figure, though he often feels like he's living in his shadow. Debbie sees them as both of her sons, even if one of them has a hunger for combat she'll never truly understand. Nolan, meanwhile, begins to see Kakarot as a variable, an unpredictable element in his long-term mission. Because Nolan's mission hasn't changed. He is still an agent of the Viltrumite Empire. He is still planning for the eventual conquest of Earth. And while Mark was supposed to be part of that plan, Kakarot complicates things. Nolan doesn't know if the boy will side with him or fight him. The day will come when Nolan reveals the truth, when he tells his sons why he's really on Earth. And when that day comes, what will Kakarot do? Will he embrace his inner nature and side with strength, or will the love he's felt from Debbie and the bond he's built with Mark cause him to defy his instincts? Only time will tell.